A lot of the houses that surround this alley are shaded, so we can't really grow vegetables in our own yards. This was a site where we were making compost, me and the neighbors surrounding this area, and we decided one day we were just standing here looking around and we thought, wow, this would make an excellent community garden. And that was about 10 days ago. This is our first community garden. I think all of us, this is our very first community garden, so we do not necessarily know what we're doing.
Well, the Atlanta Community Food Bank, we support community gardens and we work by invitation. So if they want to be completely autonomous and completely self-directed, so be it. If they need, a hand up here and there, then we're there for them. In Atlanta, like most other places, there's been a bigger interest in finding out where your food comes from, or having some certainty about where your food is coming from and knowing how it was grown and who grew it. Well, that same interest in where the food came from is translating into more gardening at home and more community gardens.
So hand in hand with this growing movement to have a community garden is you have a lot of people who have never touched the ground to grow vegetable. And also when you're working with a community plot, you're working with a small space that you want to maximize. You're not working with a big old field, an acre. And so one of the classes we thought that would be great to offer here would be a square foot gardening class.
You actually know how many seeds you need for each square. You're not going to overplant. You're not going to do a lot of thinning, which is another nice thing. I hate thinning because you finally get those nice little seedlings to come up, and then you actually have to choose. This is nice because that's really kept to a minimum. And there's also
the Oakhurst Community Garden is a community garden, but it's also part botanical garden, part nature center, part environmental education center. It's just an open green space where the public is welcome to come and explore. The square foot gardening class, or this planting your summer garden, is a good example of a hands-on class that we teach at the garden that teaches the sustainable life skill that they can carry on forever.
Gardeners need to know how to grow vegetables, how to care for the vegetables, how to harvest the vegetables. So that's one side of the community garden. The other side of the community garden is that gardeners need to know how to organize the community so that they can deal with the challenges that the communities are faced with. Now, let me give you an example. We have a community garden in Atlanta that had prostitution, drug activities, people hanging out on the vacant lot. So the community came together with the intent that they would start a community garden. And now that piece of land has become productive, and the drug activities, the prostitution is gone, and now it's a beautiful site.
A community garden can start as simply as 6 plots, 4 by 8, 5 by 10, some topsoil dumped into it, and you're ready to go. That's a community garden. We're a little bit different than most community gardens because we're not just a lot that has a lot of sun. We have shade, and we have a stream, and we have wild areas, and so we took our space and we interpreted it the way that it needed to be used. I've had a lot of phone calls about starting a community garden, wanting tours of the community garden.
They tend to, start rotting before because they're
asking very basic questions about how to start a community garden, and sometimes feeling a little overwhelmed when they come here to see the extent. And that would be something that I would say to folks, is to look at the space that you have and use it the way that it's telling you to be used.
So this is basically our first, a rough draft of how we envision the garden. So we've got, our vegetable beds here. Our children's plot hopefully will be in the center of the garden. And what we grow is determined by the sunlight. So it may end up being a winter garden, we don't know yet.
Oh yeah, this says brilliant.
we're going to do a root, 2 rows of roots.
The Department of Agriculture says a 10 by 20 will put out about $600 worth of groceries a year. I think it's a little bit higher than that. So you can actually, impact your grocery bill on some level. Big agriculture, has a place, certainly, but a lot of people do have concerns about the environmental impact, the amount of distance that it was shipped, They want to know where their food is coming from, that it was grown safely, healthy, that there's no E. coli. So I think the community gardening is part of that.
Friday to Monday, I get a lot of extra big okra. That is, it's not particularly good. Squashes, zucchini, when they're ready. You've got to pick those. Okay? Okra, you have to. Okra, I pick okra at least 3 times a week. Certain things you don't put them all out.
Okay.
You do not, because they'll get gone.
Okay.
Broccoli, we won't. I'm gonna cut it. We're not gonna put it all out,
Okay.
because people will just grab it all and just take it. We just got to parcel it out. Some are things we have to cut. These we leave the ground. So we're going to get enough. As part of a local food movement, the CSA, the Community Supported Agriculture, is a fundamental piece, and it's a system where consumers pay the farmer in advance for his food, and then come pick it up on a periodic basis. So yes, the consumers do share the risk with the farmer, and that is the point. We're not a grocery store. If our fields get completely wiped out due to weather, they take that risk. So a gamble, no more than a farmer gambles, but what makes them feel secure is they can go out in the fields and actually see the food growing. And we're able to give them tours so they know where their food's coming from, who is growing their food, and the quality of the food that's being produced.
If you know the farmer and you know that you're paying a fair price for the food, most people are willing to pay what the food is worth. I think a lot of people really want to keep local farms alive. They want a good local food system where the food is available from local farms to local people, that the food that we grow here in Georgia isn't all shipped out of state.
And every 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have something entirely different. We do succession planting. I always have one thing coming after another, so we always have a constant supply of food for our people.
I'm coming down from North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. We're starting community gardens in Durham. And so I called them up and said, I've got a crew of 3, and we'd like to come down to the farm and learn everything you can teach us in a week. So that's why we're here. Food is an opportunity to talk about other things, about sustainability and what it means to buy your food locally and how you keep resources in a neighborhood. So connecting people with their food is one of the functions of a community garden, especially in an urban setting. Where really the concept of how things look in the ground, people don't even have that concept.
Let me see those worms again. Can you show me those worms again? There's all sorts of worms in the soil, so we know that this soil is alive and well. The Atlanta Urban Gardening Program worked with children from kindergarten up through their young adult life, developing appreciation for agriculture. Today, the kids and I, we were working on being able to identify the shapes and the size of seeds, being able to understand what brings soil alive and what makes it come alive, getting their hands into the soil and being a part of nature by working into the soil.
If you want kids to appreciate nature, don't tell them about rainforests in South America that they've never seen in real life. They can't touch, they can't smell. But out in the garden, they can learn to love and appreciate nature here. And then when they grow up, maybe they can save that rainforest. And it's really uplifting for the kids to be able to work together like that, team building, all on the same side.
Since we cleared, we have tilled the soil and moved all the compost into one area. And today we're actually planting seeds, and we were going to do beds, but we decided to put everything right in the ground. This is moving a lot faster than I thought it was. I mean, we started this 7 weeks ago. We've planted everything from root vegetables to melons to herbs to tomatoes and onions and cucumbers. Everybody's putting a lot of energy into it, so everybody's just been really excited about it.
It's really being part of something. It really is. Because like I say, the gardeners, they manage the whole thing. It's theirs, and it's beautiful, and it's active, and there's a lot going on. And we're all trying to get a crop out of the ground. We're all trying to get the tomatoes caged. We're all trying to get the cucumbers trellised. And when we get a big crop, we share that. It's all of us, and we all have success at the same time. People want to be a part of a community garden because they want to be part of a community. They want to share and be with each other, and it just enriches your life in a million ways.